There's only one day left for Missourians to register to vote in the upcoming presidential election. Already, more Missourians are registered this year than ever before.
WGEM Missouri Capitol Bureau reporter Hannah Falcon explains how this year's numbers compare to previous elections.
Voter registration is increasing in Missouri year after year as the population grows. But presidential elections draw a larger crowd, and local election authorities tell me they've been busy leading up to the big day.
We have a lot of people calling just to make sure they're registered to vote.
Cole County Clerk Steve Korsmeyer tells me he's seen about 100 voter registration forms a day leading up to tomorrow's deadline.
A lot of people only vote every 4 years. They only do the presidential election, so that brings out more.
Data I obtained today from the Secretary of State's office shows there are about 4,400,000 Missourians registered to vote this year. That's an increase of about 200,000 from the midterm election in 2022. When there was about a 50% voter turnout. But this year's number is only slightly larger than the voter registration for the 2020 presidential election, when there was a voter turnout of 70%. 70 to 75% voter turnout is expected for this year's election.
I would encourage all Missourians to participate and to have trust.
Missouri voters do not have to declare a party when they register to vote, but registration numbers show 42% of Missouri voters are Republicans, 36% are Democrats, and 22% are independent or third party.
Because everybody wants to vote those, but it's been very busy.
You can register to vote online, through the mail, or by going in person to your county clerk's office. Whatever option you choose, you must have your registration complete by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Reporting in Jefferson City, I'm Hannah Falcon, WGEM News.